The Advent Storybook, 25 Bible Stories Showing Why Jesus Came, by Laura Ritchie, illustrated by Ian Dale. Day 11. Joseph's brothers, Genesis chapters 41 through 46, and 1 John 4, 7 through 9. Whoever loves and has been born of God and knows God. In this the love of God was made manifest among us, that God sent his only Son into the world so that we might live through him. I find it interesting that she left out 1 John 4:8, which says, God is love. Pharaoh made Joseph the leader in charge of saving food in Egypt during the 7 good years. Joseph stored up so much grain that it could not be measured. During that time, Joseph married and had 2 sons. Then the 7 years of famine came. The famine was bad everywhere, not just in Egypt. Joseph's brothers and his father Jacob didn't have enough food for their families. Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to get food, but he kept his youngest son, Benjamin, at home. Joseph saw his brothers come to buy food, but they didn't recognize him. Then they bowed down to Joseph, just like in his dream from long ago. Joseph had every reason to be angry with his brothers. Because of them, he had suffered as a slave and as a prisoner. When his brothers came to Egypt, Joseph pretended his brothers were spies and put them in prison. 3 days later, Joseph released all his brothers but one, Simeon. He gave them food for their families and told them to come back to Egypt with their youngest brother. Otherwise, Simeon would stay in prison. Joseph's brothers returned with Benjamin, and Joseph cried at the sight of his little brother. Then Joseph told them who he really was. Joseph forgave his brothers for all the evil they had done. He gave them food and a place to live. He loved them. Later, Joseph told his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today." Genesis 50:20. God had a good purpose even for the bad things that happened to Joseph. Why do you think Joseph forgave and rescued his brothers even though they had done bad things? Have you ever forgiven someone? Genesis 50:20 is one of my all-time favorite Bible verses because Joseph's brothers are saying to him, "We are so, so sorry." And Joseph's response is basically, "You don't get the blame. God gets the credit." That is so empowering to maintain a perspective that Romans 8:28 is real. God is truly working all things out for the good of those called according to his purpose, and that what the enemy means for evil, God will use for good. We're winning. That's empowering. Why do you think Joseph forgave and rescued his brothers, even though they had done bad things? The kids and I talked about this, and we finally said, a couple things. Luke 12:48, to much is given, much is expected. By the time Joseph had been put in the position that he was in with immeasurable blessings and status and wealth, I think God probably expected a lot of him. And ultimately, maybe he did what he did just because he knew it was the right thing to do. And we can love people and be for them, lifting them in prayer and meeting their needs as the Lord leads us to, without allowing them to hurt us over and over. So there can be healthy distance between people, and yet still forgiveness. Amen. That's it for today. Merry, Merry Christmas.